Looks like you've been missing a lot of work lately.
I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob.
What would you say you do here?
God damn it. Bob, we love playing here tonight. My brother's ready.
It helps if you think of it as a game, Bob. Every game has a winner and a loser.
You must possess strength to inflict pain, Bob.
All right,
and there
sorry
we
about.
are.
I don't know what that timer. Something happened with our timer, but I swear we did look at the timer, and it is a minute. So from when we started, we still are doing a minute. So I guess,
and we know when we see ourselves, that's when it's time to talk. Because
that's
before
right,
that, we don't. So
that's correct.
That's our cue.
That is our cue.
We need a person to do the countdown. The silent.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that other time. Anyway, welcome everybody to the Two Bobs Cast. We're a rock and metal podcast. Goes from A to Z, picking new bands every week, go through their catalog, ranking them how we see fit. And this is episode 81. And 81. Today we are going to attack the legendary Hall of Fame rock, progressive rock band Genesis, but we will be doing probably to some people's chagrin. We are not going to be doing any of Peter Gabriel stuff. Probably more just personal preference for us. So if you're into the Peter Gabriel stuff, you might get frustrated with us, but we'll get into all of that shortly. Mr. H is with me as always, my partner in crime. How you doing, Mr. H? How are things going? I know it's been a rough go for you.
Yeah, we lost this guy here on Sunday, so it's my tribute to Mr. It's Miles. Yeah. How
old was he?
It was a very long, sad day. 4.5. So.
Only 4.5.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah,
it was bad. Well, his story is he was born on January 1st from a pregnant cat that Kelly's mom was fostering because it was pregnant, and they didn't have anybody to keep an eye on it, like kind of over the holidays. So she took it in, and it gave birth on the 1st. While we were all there for New Year's Day dinner at her parents' house. So, and that's one of the cats that, one of the cats from that litter was Mr. Myler's here. So, and he was named by our niece when she was 8 too. So, this cat's been around the family. This cat's been in all of our houses up here, and it was a rough day. So
yeah, I bet, man, that's tough.
Thanks.
Not a big pet person, but I definitely do have dogs, and I've never really had pets in my life, but now that I have them, like it's just like you realize how much of your life that they're just a part of, right? You just kind of expect them to be there. So yeah, it's really tough. I kind of not joke about it with my wife, but when my 2 dogs go, I act tough now, but like I'm gonna be an absolute mess if something happens to those dogs. So yeah,
it just happens, and it's something I always say is it's what you sign up for when you get pets. You're gonna outlive them, But and 4.5, dude, it was tough. It was a really tough day.
Yeah.
So,
on a brighter note, you went to a few, at least one show I know of since our last podcast. I think it was the Demir Bourgeois.
Yeah, I went to that. That was really good. That was better than I thought it would be. I'm not huge into them as much, but it was was good. I met a Twitter friend, Brian Mayhem. He's at Brian Mayhem, at Extreme Metal Dad on X. So his name is Brian. But I saw him and his buddy there. They were cool. It was fun. Talked to them, and while the opening band was playing, I'm not a fan of them anyway, so it worked out perfect. We just stood over by the merch table, like up on the where the stairs come up and there's a little railing. We just stood right there and talked for like a good half hour, 45 minutes.
Awesome.
Had a drink, so yeah, it was fun. It was fun, but Dimmu was really good. As it went on, like there was times where I was really wowed, but then as it went on, I was seeing like vocals that were coming through that were being sung, but nobody was singing them on stage. And then there was, some underlying chugging guitar, which sounded really cool, but nobody was on stage playing that. So I'm like, where is that coming from? So it kind of leads you to start to think, I just immediately, I'm like, well, how much of this is live? Is this live? Is one of these two, is a guitar player or bass player faking it too? You know what I mean? Like once you get past like 10 people deep, you can't tell anyway. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't like that. I don't care if you have 15 people on the stage. I would rather watch them play the stuff, at least so, hey, this is really live. They're really playing all of this right here in front of me, not just some of it, Yeah. So that it just kind of bothers me a little bit. But like I said, they were really good. It was very entertaining. It was $30. It was fantastic. I do love the Agora. I can't say enough good things about them. The only criticism I have of the Agora is that I wish it was still the wood that used to be there and not the metal railings.
Okay.
I loved the wood in there. It was so cool. I know it had to be hard to maintain, and people put their drinks on it and spill it on there. I know. But it was just so cool. It gave it such character that like no other place had that.
Right.
When they took the seats out, because it used to be all seated on the lower level as a theater, and when they took those out, they had these corrals that they kind of put in, but it was all nice and wood. It was really, really well done. And then they just tore all that out and put all these metal railings in there with like a bunch of lights, on them, and it just looks so, I don't know. Every place looks like that now, So it just lost some character. But man, their shows always sound amazing. They take care of you. Any kind of needs you have, they take care of you. A woman actually passed out, and like they got a stretcher out, and it's a couple fans were helping carry her, to lift her onto the stretcher, to get her out of there. So it didn't seem like it was a super emergency. I hope she's okay. But like they know what to do. They take care of you. Like the guy that I get this, I get on the seat list. And I walk up there, and the guy like pretty much knows who I am already, and he's like, "Yep, yeah, you know the drill,"
Yeah.
So it's just they're such good people that it's one of those places too that when you're walking out the door there, every single time there are 3 or 4 employees standing out there, always telling you to have a good night, drive safe, blah blah blah. Like, it seems little, but who does that?
Yeah.
Do you get that? Do you get that at the House of Blues? Nobody's telling me like they're already cleaning up the popcorn and whatever off the floor trying to get out of there. Like these people, like they stand there and they're like, all the security people, they're like, have a good night, drive safe. I'm sure they're checking people out too for people to watch for or whatever on the roads. Yeah. But still, it's cool that they actually feel like they care about you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, that's great.
My problem is always like the price of some of the shows, but man, when they have run these deals for $30 all in, or buy one get one free for Valentine's Day or Sweetest Day or whatever day, like it's awesome. So
yeah, we took advantage of that
free,
too,
dude. It's fantastic. Yes, we did. So we are going to see Mastodon, the two of us, on a podcast night. It'd be cool if we could like do like a live podcast from there. Wouldn't it be amazing?
We should do anyway. I don't know. We should look more into that too. Some kind of intro from there or something. That would be pretty cool. But
we could say a few words at the Winking Lizard if we wanted to, kind of pan around there. You can see the city from there, from the windows there,
Yep.
So, yeah. Anyway, so we took advantage of that the last day they had. What was that, half off sale this time? So
yeah, it was like
$30.83 or something like that, I think, with taxes or something. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
So it's so good. But anyway, so yeah, it's been rough. It's been ago for sure this past week. I can't even remember what I did on what day. We were at a family gathering, like picnic too, while all this was going on at the emergency room, and our 2 trips there, and we had to leave him there, and then they thought he was getting better, and then we had to go back, and we had to tell everybody that we knew that we were going to lose him, and then we had to leave there and drive there. It sucked, man. It really sucked. I mean, it's not good for anybody, really. But
no,
it's just, man, not. It was a really, really rough day. I took yesterday off of work, so.
Yeah.
But anyway, enough about that. We're here to talk about Genesis. So
we're here to
rest
talk
in peace, Milers.
Yep.
Hope you're still chasing the mice up there.
I'm sure he
Man,
is.
he chased mice. God, he loved it in the garage. He'd just run around the garage. Like, he always wanted to go in there because he could hunt.
Yeah. Did he leave them for you? Or?
Well, sometimes he brought him back in, and he actually brought one into our bed one time, which I couldn't sleep for a week after that. And it was it was alive, and I couldn't sleep for a week after that, dude.
Yeah,
it was disgusting. But
yeah,
like I said, I miss him. So
yeah,
but not as much as Kelly. They were really close, so it was really hard for her. But all right.
Well, let's get into Genesis. Like I said, we're only going to go into the Phil Collins led Genesis records. Did not do any of the Peter Gabriel stuff. Again, I know we're going to get into it with this podcast because I was talking with Mr. H about this a little bit, but we'll get into it with the albums. I just know that this band is like a progressive band darling, right? Where like a lot of the earlier stuff is worshipped. And I totally get that. That's not really where our podcast typically goes. So I feel like it was better for us, I think, for us to go through these, to just go through the Phil Collins stuff. It's a little bit more traditional rock, right? And it's not always, but again, we'll go through the records, but just a little background into that decision. We just kind of felt like it best fit our podcast and best fit us in general. So we will get into that. Mr. H, what do you got about Genesis?
All right. Yeah, this is a band we felt like we had to do, for reasons like they're really a big influence on a lot of bands that we listen to now and much later after them. So, but and due to time constraints, some of this material has been edited out, and this podcast has been formatted to fit your screen. So anyway, Pod 81 formed in 1967 at Charterhouse School in Surrey, England. Their most successful lineup was Tony Banks on keyboards, Mike Rutherford played bass and guitar, and Phil Collins played drums and sang. It was their most successful lineup. The band also consisted of early on vocalist Peter Gabriel when Phil just played drums, and guitarist Steve Hackett when Mike was just playing bass then. Among other people that started this band, it was started mainly by Tony Banks and Mike Rutherford and Peter Gabriel and another guy. But, that guy was soon to be gone and replaced by Phil. And so they kind of, we pick things up here for the podcast. The people in the band now are Steve Hackett on guitar, Phil Collins singing now because Peter Gabriel had just left the band after the previous album that we're not going to do, as we're only doing the Phil Collins fronted stuff. There's actually an album at the end of their career too that's not Phil Collins. We're not doing that one either. So no disrespect to Peter Gabriel. Maybe we could do a Peter Gabriel podcast at some point. But
maybe.
But yeah. But yeah, in 1976 is where we pick it up with Hackett, Collins, Rutherford, and Banks. So the first album that we're going to review is Trick of the Tail. So this is released February 13th, 1976. There's 8 songs on this album. The David Henschel is the producer along with Genesis, and he's going to be involved. I want to say they have 2 or possibly 3 producers out of all of these albums. Like there's a lot of multiple produced albums by the same people, but it's great because they sound amazing. So no problems there. So this is produced by David Henschel, and Genesis again is really well engineered. This album is 50 years old. It sounds amazing. It's 50 years old. It's just such ear candy in the headphones. Like really, really sounds good. But yeah, the band kind of wanted to show that they could still write good material because Banks and Rutherford, Tony Banks and Mike Rutherford, were the main songwriters even earlier, even before this point in the band, although Peter Gabriel did write lyrics and some music too. But they auditioned for another singer. They didn't know who was going to sing, so they just auditioned people first, and they couldn't find anybody. And Phil was persuaded to sing the song Squonk. And it was so good that they said, "That's it, you're singing." Even though he wasn't even sure he wanted to. They're like, "That's it, dude, you're the singer." So I thought that was fantastic. But
Can you imagine?
I always wondered how that went. But man, it's such a great song too. But I'll get to that. But
yeah, Phil Collins just has one of those recognizable, legendary voices.
I know.
At this point, it's hard to believe there was a time that he wasn't. Yeah, like. He's like, I'm not a singer. I'm just the drummer.
You're not.
Right.
Right.
It's just a legendary voice in rock and roll. And it's just, that's crazy to me that there was a time.
Yeah.
That he's like, I'm not a singer. So,
yeah, I play drums, man. I'm not a singer. Like, give it a shot.
Right.
These progressive bands, man, they just love their time changes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. I mean, sometimes it works for me, really. Sometimes it does. Sometimes I'm like, wow, that was cool, you know? Sometimes it doesn't. In the case of, like, Dance on a Volcano, it does not. Like, it's a song I just want to groove with, and then kind of out of nowhere, it just jars me out of that because and that's the intent, I guess, right? They want to jar the listener and maybe grab their attention to listen to the next section, the next part of the piece of music that they wrote, you know? So, but to me, I'm listening to the song, I'm like, man, this is really good. And then, boom, I'm like shocked out of it. And I'm like, wait, what is this a different song? Like, what is this? So I know that it's because progressive music isn't my thing, but man, they do a lot of that. And a lot of times it really doesn't work for me. And then the fantasy-ish ending of this song too, Dance on a Volcano, it just doesn't feel like it fits. I don't know why. It's got like this fantasy feel to it, keys and stuff, and it doesn't feel like it fits in the song. I'm like, where did this come from? Like, I didn't pick this up in the rest of the song, and all of a sudden the last minute or two is that, you know.
Yeah.
And then Squonk, I put some some notes in here. I wrote, hell yeah, here we go, you know. And this, I'm going to talk a lot about this, but I love the dark feeling, slow groove thing during the verses of that song. I just wish it had a little more prominent guitar, but it's just kind of an accompaniment here. But I love that like dark feel that they do. They're such good musicians, and they write all different types of material, then it's all good, you know, but it's not what I'm really a fan of. I'm a fan of one small thing that they do, and every time they do it, I love those songs. Those are some of my favorite songs of all time, because I love the feel and the dynamic and it's like an atmosphere, like it puts you in like a headspace, and I absolutely love it. And there's only so many songs that they play like that. So even when there's parts of songs that have that in it, I love it too. Like Trick of the Tail, I mean, the chorus has that same dark kind of groove to it. I just don't like the 60s Monkees Beach Boys sound to the rest of the song. But when he's like, he's got no horns and he's got no tail, like it brings me right back. Like the chorus of that song is undeniably great. I can't get it out of my head when I hear it. It's just got this feel to it, man. It's so cool. So anyway, I love that song. I love Squonk. The instrumental passages on some of these songs is just kind of not for me, and it seems like it comes with more of the time changes also, you know, and it's just like they kind of lose me when they do a lot of that stuff. So I have skippers, Entangled, Madman Moon. It's too long for me, and it just doesn't do enough. It's not my style. It's not really that memorable. And Ripples, the song Ripples is not for me either. So I have this one as a C+. I have this number 7 out of the 8. The instrumental passages and songs and ballads, they just aren't for me yet on this one. I mean, they may be well done, and I'm sure they are, but they're just not my style. But But Genesis can obviously, do a lot of things well. I'm just not a fan of all the things that they do. Kind of similar to Rush for me. Although I do like Rush more, but there's a lot of Rush material that they do really well that I don't like either. So it's kind of, I kind of equate the two. It is weird too that most of the time I listen to them, they were a 3-piece also, both bands. So with multi-instrumentalists also. So, and fantastic musicians. Like there's a lot of similarities between those two bands, more than I even realized until I really started to think about it. But these guys are crazy good musicians for sure. I'll never say otherwise, ever. So fantastic in that regard, the musicianship, or but it's really good stuff. C+, 7 out of 8. What did you think of Trick of the Tail?
Trick of the Tail. First of all, let's say what's up to Tyler logged in. He's logged in with us today. What's up,
Yes,
Tyler?
sir.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah, he mentions here Pink Floyd. H, you must be into them a little
some of
bit.
that in there. Yeah.
I definitely I love Pink Floyd, and eventually we will probably get to them, and we'll probably have to cut
it's
some of their stuff
quintessential
out
for
too,
you because you like that kind of style, right?
Yeah.
If you were a Genesis fan and you like this keyboardy, long passages of stuff, you would say this band is your quintessential prog music, prog rock as it is. It's just depends on what kind of music you like as to whether or not you like their or whatever their prog version of that is, I don't know.
Yeah. So I'll get into a little bit exactly what I was talking about right before our podcast with Mr. H here. So I listened to this album, and to me, it is hard to listen to, but at the same time, I recognize that somebody else listening to this right now that's really into this really proggy stuff, some of the Yes, some of the old school Yes fans are probably like, this album would be ranked really, really high for them. Yeah. With me, it loses me a lot of the times where there's these random like whistles and stuff throughout it, and just these tones, and you nailed it perfectly. It's jarring to me, not just the time signatures, but some of the instrumentation that they add into these songs. It's really it sounds out of place to me. But there is really good stuff in here for sure. Like, of course, I don't think Phil is at his best yet. I think pretty soon he gets where he finds his groove.
Oh,
the vocals good. And again, there are sections like Dance on the Volcano. Like, there's lots of sections of that song that I was like, this is really cool. You mentioned Squonk. Really good song. I really like the title track, A Trick of the Tail. You nailed it. The chorus is great. It's like a sign of things to come from this band, because again, probably going to piss people off that are into those proggy things, because I feel like what makes Genesis great is when they merge all of these things together with more of the pop sensibility, with the rock sensibility. They have, and there are times where they're going to get a little carried away with it, and it's going to get a little cheesy at times. But with this, it's just a little too far out there. So again, I really, really like this. I don't really know of too much to skip other than Ripples. Ripples to me is the one that kind of stands out, where I was getting kind of bored with listening to it. But other than that, it's a strong album, and I can see that people that really love the prog stuff probably has this top of their list, right? They're going to say, this is the sound. This is a great album. For me, though, I think they're better sound, better mixture is to come. So I have this at number 6. I have it about where you do, at a C+. Again, there's nothing bad about it. I never really got to the point where I wanted to skip anything until, like I said, Ripples just ran a little long for me. But all the elements are there. Again, this reminds me, you mentioned Rush. It reminds me of like the Hemispheres Rush, like the real proggy stuff, to where later on they got more catchy, more rock and roll, where I was more into it, right? Like early Rush was like that, and then later Rush was like that too, where it just, they merged different kinds of music. And this just isn't quite there yet for me. So I got Trick of the Tail number 6 and a C+.
All right. Wind and Wuthering, December 10th, 1976. So, yeah, you heard that right. So, February 13th, 1976. So, less than 8 months, they put out another album
Yep.
with 9 songs on it. God, you had to love it back then, man. And they would even tour in between. Like, you look now and you're like, why does it take bands so long to get, like, the recording's done and, like, 2.5 years later, like, okay, it's finally coming out. You know, I'm looking at you, Anthrax. You know,
Yep.
so it's like, what is going on? You know, so these guys, like, not even 8 months. Unbelievable. David Henschel and Genesis produced this one again. This is the last album with Steve Hackett on guitar, as kind of writing friction started with Hackett kind of thinking his parts were being dropped for Tony Banks's keys. And, you know, I guess I could sort of see that, you know, but I think it's for the better because Mike Rutherford's fantastic as well. He can play guitar all day long. So U.S. popularity is growing a little bit here at this point. They consciously they wanted to write less fantasy songs than previous albums were kind of full of, up even through Trick of the Tail. Like if you listen to a lot of those lyrics, even Trick of the Tail, like it's very kind of fantasy based.
Mm-hmm.
But so those albums were kind of full of that stuff. They wanted to kind of write songs that pleased themselves, the band, and not just to try to please the fans. Like you mentioned, like the progressive fans, like I think at this point they wanted to, is this like the 9th album, I think, in their catalog? Like they wanted to kind of get away from the thing that they did every single time. You know, they wanted to kind of reach out and just do a little different stuff. So they wanted to do what pleased them. So that's I guess that's the way to do it, right? If you're not writing stuff to please your fans, the first thing you're going to do is look inward and write stuff that means stuff to you. This was also the first tour with Chester Thompson as a live drummer, so Phil could sing and not have to sing and play drums, which he was doing for a while. That's got to be hard for a whole show, a headlining tour. 3 instrumentals on this album out of 9 songs. Oh my goodness. As Tyler just mentioned, he didn't mention this song in particular, but All in a Mouse's Night is a very Pink Floyd sounding song near the end. Tyler, if you want to put on All in a Mouse's Night, like maybe the last minute or two of that song, and tell me that doesn't sound like just like Pink Floyd. My favorites in this one, I really have nothing. Just parts of a few songs on this one, but nothing really stands out to me as a favorite. This is easily the bottom for me. I just gave it a C because I can't give much less than that because I know these guys are all fantastic musicians. Even Steve Hackett, who apparently couldn't hack it. So he ended up leaving. But even he is a fantastic guitar player and would go on to do, you know, many other things as well. So these guys, I don't think I'm ever giving them less than a C. But Skippers for me is kind of most of it, and most of this just isn't my thing. There's just too much kind of proggy rambling on here, especially with the 3 instrumentals. So yeah, this is a C, number 8. This one's just really not for me. Not much in here that I personally really like. So C, number 8 for Wind and Wuthering. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm right with you. Though I actually do think there's one that fits me even a little less than this one. So this is number 7 for me. But to me, it's just funny reading this that Banks expressed concern that this album would be too quote unquote heavy and quote unquote difficult for people on their first listen. And I'm laughing. I'm like thinking to myself as I'm listening to this, I'm like, maybe I would get into this if I listened to it over and over and over. And I became familiar with all the changes in all the instrument portions. And, but I mean, honestly, like
I could see that too.
It nailed it. It nailed it to me. That's like, I'm listening to this one time. I'll probably never listen to it again. And it is definitely too difficult for me to listen to for this one time. You know, to me, it's, I don't know. It was a really, really tough listen for me. And the next one was a tough listen for me too. That's kind of where all of these for me are close to the same because they're just so they're so proggy, and until they made a definite change into the rock arena, I just wasn't quite there. One for the Vine, it started off okay. There's some portions that I like, but it's 10 minutes of a prog anthem, right? Where it's just, there's so many things going on. I just can't, I can't zero in on it. It was really hard for me to really understand what was going a lot of times. But again, I'm listening to this once again, and I'm thinking people that love this prog stuff, like early Pink Floyd, right? Or early on, yes, all these bands kind of all go together. But I would love this. I'm like, man, this is so cool. But there's not enough like interesting guitar work for me or anything of that nature. So again, yeah, this one just isn't for me either. Not a whole lot stands out just like you. So I'm really close to you on this one. Number 7 and a C. The next one we talk about here is just I like a little less, but they're all kind of about the same. I could have ranked them kind of in any order these last two, but I'm gonna go 7 with Wind in Wuthering. Okay. In a C.
All right. Yeah, Genesis, like, if you're not into the proggy jazz rock thing that they were doing, and you just listen to an album like that one time,
yeah,
and you had never heard it before, like you're doomed to not like it, you know?
Yeah.
So I totally get what you're saying about maybe multiple listens. Like, okay, I'm more familiar with this song now, but one listen, like, I'm not sure anybody that that this isn't their exact thing. Probably nobody really likes it out when they first. Maybe it's like drinking beer, trying beer. Or
Probably.
the first time. Like, nobody likes it.
Nope.
You know, if they tell you they do, they're lying. But nobody likes it.
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, I could see that maybe more listens might equal. I might like it more, but I don't really have the time, I don't think, to put into that. So, and then we moved on to, and then there were 3. April 7th, 1978. 11 songs here. David Henschel and Genesis again. This is just a threesome now after Steve Hackett left. Rutherford wanted the challenge of playing lead guitar. Like, they originally tried to, they were like, okay, should we get somebody else? And Rutherford's like, nope, I want to do it. So, the Burning Rope guitar solo 2/3 of the way through the song is all anyone needs to hear in regards to whether or not he could do it. Just great stuff right there. I don't like the song that much, but man, does that have an awesome solo 2/3 of the way through, and that's all Mr. Mike Rutherford right there. So, still a little kind of too drawn out, jammy for me here. I know they do this really well, and they're known for it. It just drags for me sometimes, like we keep saying. So, less on here than previous albums, though. It's getting slightly less. So, the songwriting, I guess, kind of divided fans here, I was reading, because it did lack some of the complex, which that's what I was just saying. It's getting a little bit better, and kind of replace them with shorter, more concise songs that were more the norm, kind of with the punk movement of the time, which I thought was interesting that they mentioned that. I don't know if it was Phil or Mike. One of them, I think, said that they kind of consciously tried to do that because the punk songs, like, people were getting into that, and it's like songs were shorter, so they didn't want to compromise what they did and what they sounded like as a band. They just wanted to write some shorter songs, maybe to get to some of those people. So, but it made sense, and it makes sense for us too. But anyway, they you know, some of the songs were also written prior to recording and not kind of born out of jamming, which they had done most of the time previously. They would just jam and improvise, and they would come up with pieces of songs and then elaborate on those in different spots. And, you know, so they could, like, jam for half an hour or an hour. Like, I've read that sometimes they would jam until the tape ran out, like, over some drum beat that Phil put down, like electronic drum beat, and then Tony and Mike would improvise and come up with parts over the drum beat, and Phil would work out vocals while they were doing that, and they would just do that for 2 hours straight until the tape ran out. And then they could probably get 4 or 5 songs out of different parts of that, you know, then they would add little things here and there to the chunks that they had, and sometimes they would take 30 minutes and condense it down to, like, the best 3 minutes, and then that would be a song. So These guys just loved. It sounded like they just loved to play music and play together because that's all that is, right? You're just playing along with each other, just coming up with stuff left and right for hours at a time. You have to really love to do that. So, but again, it's just kind of just too long for me in a lot of cases. The band, they also mentioned they didn't know how to end some songs, so they just ended them with instrumental passages in some cases, which, that's what we do best. We got plenty of that on recorded. We'll just attach it here. It fits. There you go. Put that in.
Right.
The 3 songs I like best on this album are the 3 written by all 3 members, too, which I like because they scored their biggest hit to date on this one, too, with Follow You, Follow Me. That producer Henschel, he didn't care for the song, but he sent it off to Atlantic. He did like a mix, sent it off to Atlantic, and then the people at Atlantic thought it could be a hit, so they made him put it on the album. A good thing they did too, because it was really their first kind of breakthrough hit, like globally. The tour cost Phil his first marriage. His wife just left because he was gone too much. He just was like, I can't do this by myself all the time, so. He said he spent the Japanese part of the tour for this album drunk and couldn't sing very well. He said he was drunk for like 10 straight days and he couldn't sing very well, and everybody was worried about him. And he's like, well, there's nothing they can do about it. So, but yeah, he got through it, I guess. But it does affect the recording of the next album as well, which I'll mention. Favorites on this one are Down and Out, Ballad of Fig, and Follow You, Follow Me. I do really like that song a lot. Skippers for me is Snowbound, so there's really only one skipper. I mean, I like this album the most out of the ones we've gone through so far, but I do like the shorter song structures because some of their long progressive arrangements just tend to bore me, and it just is what it is. So this is a B- now, so now I'm up in the B range, but I saw this down at number 6. So I don't love it, but I did find some more stuff here that I like than I did on the previous couple albums. So B- number 6 and then there were 3. What did you think?
Yeah, like I've already kind of spoiled. This one is my least favorite, and I think it just.
Oh, you get it.
I guess to me it seems like the melodies, where at least those were there, the last few albums. I feel like the melody has kind of gone away. I don't like, the songs were shorter and more digestible, but I don't think the songs are as good. Just me personally. Like, I personally do not like Follow You, Follow Me. Like, to me it sounds an awful lot like a Peter Gabriel solo song. Like, to me it sounds like what he writes, almost more folky, and I do think this band is better for me when they're more rocking, right? When it's a more up-tempo type song, and there's not a lot of that here. A lot of ballady sounding songs, a lot of, and again, it's the style of music, and I get it. It just isn't for me. But this one, to me, maybe because I knew starting in the next album, I started to know some stuff, and I kind of knew what I was getting into. I kind of felt like this one, listening to it again just one time, I feel like I was like in a rush to get through it. So maybe that's why. Maybe it's my own kind of the order I listen to them, knowing that I know that I'm gonna like the stuff coming up better. But yeah, to me, I guess I point to the melody myself. Like, maybe the songs weren't as good. Maybe the 3 guys are learning, to write with just being a 3-piece. I don't know. To me, this just isn't strong in my ears. So for me, this is number 8. Still a C. None of their stuff is bad. Like, I respect all that they do and their talent. As you were saying, right? Like, there's some points here where there's some good guitar playing you can hear in there. Some keyboard parts I really like, but a lot of it is still kind of drowning on. Like you said, it kind of goes on and on and on. So for me, and then there were 3 is the bottom. So number 8 and a C for me.
All right. On to Duke. March 24th, 1980. 12 tracks on here. This is David Henschel Genesis again. This is the last album for David Henschel. This contained a mix of individually written and group written songs. They considered doing one side of this album as solo songs and one as group songs, but that idea was rejected. Tony and Mike were short of material, having just recorded solo albums, so each member contributed 2 songs they wrote outside of the band for the band to work on. Tony Banks later regretted not choosing In the Air Tonight as one of Phil's offered songs. And a Banks song that was used called Cul-de-sac was difficult for Collins to work on, and Banks kind of realized later he should have kept that song for his own solo material. But Phil Collins had moved to Vancouver to try to salvage his marriage, and the band kind of took a hiatus so he could try to do that. And that's where his wife moved, so he moved to Vancouver for a while. It didn't work out. He moved back to the UK, and he just kind of holed himself up and wrote lots of music. Some ended up on Duke, some on his first solo album, Face Value. But In the Air Tonight was one of those songs. And I always kind of wondered, like, it was one of the things I wanted to find out that I never looked up is why was In the Air Tonight not a Genesis song?
Right.
So, and now I know. So
Yep.
I thought that was very interesting for me personally, as I always wondered that. The band found the writing process easier and more enjoyable now that it's kind of their second album as a 3-piece, which makes total sense. You know, the first one they were just figuring things out. This one they like kind of knew what they wanted to do. So it was pretty cool too. My favorites on this album are Misunderstanding and Turn It On Again. Skippers for me are Duke Travels and Duke's End. That's the progressive. That's the nod to the progressive stuff. At the end of this album, it's like 10 or 11 minutes long. It's 2 parts, but it's basically one big long song. Again, I have this as a B-. I like this a little bit more because of the 2 songs I really like on here, Misunderstanding and Turn It On Again. I'm starting to get to the Genesis that I really like, you know, at least the multiple songs on albums that I would like. So this one kind of rated just a little bit higher. But again, it's not great, but it's not terrible for me either. It's still too progressive for me. I get lost in where I am sometimes in these songs, you know, like I started to try to flesh out how I felt about them here. But I guess that's the idea, is to get lost in the song, right? Like, so they're probably getting lost in the jam session before they know it. It's been 2 hours. Like you're meant to kind of get lost in it. So I guess that's the idea. And they are great musicians, but I just get lost in the sauce sometimes. I'm like, where are we here? Is this the same track, or did we start a different one because there's like a different passage somewhere that didn't sound like the music before? And then I wonder, well, was that the beginning of another song? And then so I just lose track of where I am, you know, where they know, because they're such great musicians, they know that, well, no, this part doesn't fit in that song because of this, and that. But I don't realize that maybe I just didn't miss the track ending, you know, and it's just still going. So sometimes I just get lost in the sauce. So, but I love those 2 songs, Misunderstanding and Turn It On Again. So this is number 5 for me, B-. What did you think of Duke?
Yeah, so for sure this is kind of where it turns a little bit for me, not fully. So basically, so the long stuff that you're talking about.
Does it turn it on again for you a little bit here?
that is a killer song. By the way, that song is pretty great. Like,
yeah,
to me,
really
that's the first great song that they have written. To me, that song is so
I think
good.
You're right.
But so the album was actually constructed to be a 25-minute song called Duke Suite, is kind of what it was supposed to be. It had like an introduction, a long instrumental part, and then a few separate songs in the middle that kind of fit that theme. And then when what you talked about, when they were doing all these, they were bringing their individual songs, they broke it all up, which I almost wish they would have done kind of separate, like what Rush did with like 2112, or where they have like their suite all on one side of the album, and then they all other songs on the second side. I wish they would have done that and split this up a little more, but because for whatever reason, it just feels disjointed for me that they have all those pieces, like the prog rock pieces, kind of spread throughout it. Right? Mm-hmm. It to me, it makes the album feel really disjointed.
Yeah.
But overall,
are you saying you'd want to hear the whole suite together?
No. Okay. I'm saying
okay.
I want it all to be together so I could go to the other side.
Okay.
And at least it would be for me like.
Okay, gotcha. Well, part of that bunch of songs they broke up was "Turn It On Again" too, which you mentioned is such a great song. And if they kept the whole 30-minute suite, it was a very short part of that suite. They actually expanded it because they liked that part so much. They expanded it into that song. So if you wanted the whole 30 minutes, you were going to lose most of that song too. So that's why I was like, I hope you didn't want that. So but if they had that song still separately fleshed out on the other side, then you'd probably be fine. That'd be the only part you'd be missing. You know what I mean? Everything else,
is
you'd be like, I don't really like that anyway. So
"Turn It On Again" is incredible.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's an
I'm glad they pulled
song.
It out and fleshed it out because it's incredible. It absolutely is.
Yeah. But "Misunderstanding" is good. That one, it makes sense that that's a Phil Collins song because that sounds like it could come right off of his first solo album or whatever. He just has a sound to him and his songwriting. "Misunderstanding" is great, but again, it could be a Phil Collins solo track is all I'm concerned. But yeah, "Turn It On Again"
was
and "Turn It On Again" I think kind of just makes it. Other than that, like I like the Rutherford songs on here. I like "Man of the Times." I like "Alone Tonight." These are pretty good songs, catchy, kind of getting towards that pop tendency. But this is it's a much better album for me, even though there are still parts in here like you said, Duke's Travels, Duke's End, Duchess, like those are not for me. They're a little longer, more progressive. But this is number 4 for me, and this is where it goes into the B range for me, and a lot of it is on "Turn It On Again." I kept coming back to that song, just the way that the drums sound, and the drums just start sounding better and better here, which I'm going to rave about the drums here coming up in the next couple albums.
Good.
Just something about the sound. They figure out these perfect sounds. But Duke is good. Again, I feel like it's a transition album for me where they're going from one kind of music to the other. There's still a lot of prog here, but there is some rock here for sure in pop, like their pop rock Genesis sound. So Duke for me is number 4 and in like a solid B for me.
Okay. Yeah, that drum sound, I've talked about it in a previous podcast, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's a recording technique that they stumbled across and use on Phil's solo stuff and on a lot of this Genesis stuff too. And it just became the norm for how you record drums because it sounds so incredibly good. And when you're listening to these albums and you hear that stuff earlier, and then Phil does play a lot of electronic drums later, which that has a different sound, but the other stuff, like you could it sounds different, and then when you get to this 1980, around this time where Phil's solo, where Face Value came out and this album came out, they just figured something out as far as recording, and it makes the drums sound incredible. So that was you're right on the money with that one, my friend. So on to Abacab. This was September 18th, 1981. So we're only a year and a half later. 9 songs on here. This is produced by Just Genesis. I absolutely love, we talked about Phil and his voice. I absolutely love, he doesn't do it nearly as often as I need him to, or I want him to, and he never will again. But I love when he pushes his voice. Like Man on a Corner, when he raises it up and really uses power with his voice, it sounds so freaking good. It gives me goosebumps every single time he does it. Every time he does it. So he just sings quiet, and man, when he just puts power behind it, you're like, oh my God, like it's so good. His voice is incredible when he does it. It just has an incredible sound to it. And I wish he did it all the time. Like I long for that. And I hear him, I'm like, oh, please, I wish 2 more of this. But I know he doesn't. So this is also where they use No Reply at All, another great song. This was where the Phoenix Horns start getting used, which Phil used on his solo albums too. They are from Earth, Wind, and Fire. They call themselves the Phoenix Horns, and it's the first time outside musicians were used on a Genesis album since their debut album in 1969. So, but they are fantastic here. The Phoenix Horns are, and on Phil's solo work, absolutely fantastic. Agreed. It adds so much stuff, to the music. It just adds such a great element because they're so good at putting that stuff in there. So the album name, Abacab, this is something I didn't know. I always wondered too. I kind of thought it had to do with maybe keys of music or keys of guitar or whatever, but I guess what it is it came from an early key ordering of sections of music the group had for the song Abacab. And at one point it changed during the song and it spelled out Abacab, but in the final version, Rutherford said that it wasn't that at all. It ended up being more like a back. It was ACCAABBAAC was actually what they used. But they just, I guess it didn't say this, but I'm assuming maybe they referred to the song as they were writing it as Abacab for a while, just because that's the way it came out. And they're like, hey, that's actually a word, so... But then they just kept it for the album, which I don't know. I just thought it was a cool little thing that I never knew. I always kind of wondered where it came from, but it was kind of what I thought it was too. So I'm like, oh, I was kind of right, even though I was just guessing, But the song itself came from like a jam session that they had over a looped electronic drum track, and this is another one that mentioned for this song until the tape they were using to record ran out. Like they literally looped this drum track and then they played like, so that drum track that's in Abacab, they played over that for 2 hours or whatever, however long the tape was. It's incredible. Like I can't imagine listening to that for that amount of time. It's already 7 minutes long, but that song can't be too long. That song is ridiculously good. Who Done It is it's a different sounding piece of music that kind of came together by improvising over a distorted analog synth track for like 30 minutes. And then this is where they kind of boiled down 30 minutes to 3 minutes. I guess they considered releasing this song as a single also. And what's funny is you mentioned a song earlier that sounds like Peter Gabriel. I think this song sounds like Peter Gabriel's solo track stuff too. I
agree.
Because it's that distorted synth that kind of sounds like, Sledgehammer-ish. It's like something off of his like later 80s stuff. It just has that same sound. I'm like, wow, this is Peter Gabriel, and this was albums since Peter Gabriel was in the band. I think also the Abacab song itself has some similarities and I think inspired some stuff on Eliminator by ZZ Top of all things, albeit sped up a little bit. But that underlying bassy kind of synth track that you hear underneath the whole, most of the Abacab song, especially in the verses, like you hear it in Legs too, but like sped up faster. That you hear that underneath the whole track. Well, in this song it's slower, but I was like, it's like you hear it and I'm like, I've heard this before in other stuff. So, but like I said, that's them being kind of innovative, and they kind of do a lot of that where they have like this nice moody synth thing underneath the song sometimes where it just adds so much depth to the song, and it adds a whole field dynamic to it that I love. So like I said, I said I was going to keep bringing that up, but my favorites on here are Abacab, No Reply at All, Man on a Corner. Again, this is a song that has that kind of dark feel. It's so good. This is one of my favorite songs of all time. Like, and the thing about Genesis is like, there's not a whole album that I like every song on the album. There's no A pluses. There's nothing even close to really an A plus for me with Genesis, but they have some songs that are some of my favorite songs of all time are by Genesis, just because of, like I said, that feel, and like you were mentioning, like the ballads that kind of don't work for you. Man on a Corner is a ballad, but man, it's not like a love song ballad. Like it's dark, spooky. It's so good, man. I absolutely love that song. Like It or Not also is a decent song that I kind of like on here, which it was one I never really listened to all that much, so I kind of started to like it this time. So I'm like, oh, I don't know why I didn't really listen to this song more, even though it's right on. It's probably because I got to Man on the Corner and I listened to it, and then I just went back and listened to it again, and went back and listened to it again, and I just didn't listen to Like It or Not that much as the next song. But that one definitely kind of grew on me a little bit. I did not like Who Done It. It's the only skipper for me. I have this as an A-. This is number 1 for me. There's not a lot of skip here. There's some killer tracks that kind of had an effect on me and really increased my awareness of the band at a really young age. And I still remember that. Like I mentioned to you last week, like this is 1981, right? So I remember hearing songs from this album and the next album, like going to the Coliseum with my parents and going to a Cavs game or whatever. And then, because I was like 9, so I'm old enough where, my brother's 6. So we're old enough we can go to these games with my parents and stuff. I remember sitting in the back seat of the car and like it's dark out, right? Because the Cavs game's over. It's 10:30, 11 o'clock at night and it's dark out and you're in the parking lot and you're waiting to get on this one road to get out of this giant parking lot. And like these songs would come on, like Man on the Corner. And I can still picture myself in the back seat listening to these songs on the radio. Just like it transports me back there to that specific time and that specific spot. It's so good, man. And like I said, I'll never forget them. I never get tired of these songs. There's like I said, there's some of my kind of formative music songs that I clung to, and I just never get tired of them. And they'll kind of always take me back to that spot. And that's one of those songs. So again, A-, number 1, not a lot of skip. So it brings me back and it's really good stuff. What did you think of Abacab?
Yeah, I got a lot of the same thoughts that you have for this album. It was hard for me to try to put this into words, but there is definitely an edge, like a dark edge on the instrumentation and the synthesizers that they use for this. It's a really dark
I love it, dude.
album.
Absolutely love it, man.
The sound of it is fantastic, and that's kind of the reason. Like, to me, it has. I know people might think I'm crazy, but it kind of like a Nine Inch Nails type vibe with some of their like darker stuff, and it's because he plays these synthesizers, but. It's like coming forward here, these next couple albums, at times, these synthesizers are more pop oriented and they come across sometimes a little more cheesy, right? A little bit more over the top. This is not that at all. Like this album is a serious pop album, right? Like it's rock pop. Like they fully have went around on what they want to do now, but it's got that dark edge to it. So for me, songs like the title track, right? Like we talked about that. That's a fantastic song. That's an absolutely fantastic song.
Love every second of that 6:58, man. Every second of it. I wish it went on longer. It's one of those rare ones where I'm like, I don't generally like songs that go for 10 minutes, but that one could go on for 20 minutes and I listen to the whole thing. I'd never skip through it. It's so good. No,
absolutely. It's so good. And to me, this is where the drums sound like perfection. Like that.
Yeah.
The way that they've tracked these drums and the drum sound is great. But the dark, like the title track, Me and Sarah Jane, Dodo. I know they split it with Dodo but that song, and Like It or Not, it just has this undertone, these dark undertones to everything, and I just absolutely love it. I wish they did more of this, but they don't hang around to do this type of thing this much. The only thing, and you nailed it, the only part of this album that I don't like is Who Done It. I don't think it fits. It almost stands out like a sore thumb on this album. To me, it's I would rather listen to a lot of the prog stuff than that. It just seems out of place, really strange. But yeah,
they can write some of those, that's for sure.
Yeah,
they have some goofy ones.
They do. But man, everything else on here is fantastic. I'm with you. This is my number 1 also.
Nice.
A solid A. Again, Who Done It is kind of stopping it for me to giving it anywhere near a A+, but overall, this is really good. I didn't think this was going to be number 1 listening to these, but as soon as I got through listening to it, to me, it's like, I know these next two, and I know I like these next two, but this is better. So with me, it was pretty easy. Abacab number 1 and an A for me.
Awesome. On to the self-titled Genesis, October 3rd, 1983. 9 songs on this one. Genesis, and this is with Hugh Padgham. Padgham. I think I'm saying that right. At least I hope so. I really tried to sound it out. My favorite organ solo of all time is on this album. That's all. You can tell where that was. Philip Phillips, who's somebody that Kelly and I like, he was on Idol. He does an excellent cover of the song That's All. I think he did it on Idol. I get goosebumps every time I listen to it. It was absolutely incredible. If you get a chance, check that out. It's so
Tyler's
good.
number one is Abacab 2 before we get to the next one.
Okie dokie.
So we're 3 for 3, fellas. Excellent.
Three
Nice
for
work.
3. On this one, Second Home by the Sea just kind of gets to be too much for me. It goes on for too long. Maybe if it was one long song, like maybe All the Homes by the Sea, maybe.
Right.
But even still, it's too long. I don't mind it. Like, it's just... I think the second part of it adds too much, but I like the first half and some of the second half, but then it goes on too long. This is their first album written and recorded in its entirety in their studio called The Farm, so they are really making some money at this point. My favorite songs on this one are Mama. Like you mentioned, the industrial thing.
That's
This
awesome.
song actually is industrial before its time. This is a very industrial sounding song, except for the laugh. The laugh is absolutely terrible. It's terrible. I'm like, please don't ever do that again. And then he does it again and again and again. I'm like, don't do it anymore. Oh, it's terrible. But man, I love the industrial feel of that one. And that's all. I mean, just the simplistic brilliance. I mean, seriously, how effing great a song is that for a band?
Amazing. It's amazing.
For a band that has these incredible musicians and do these 2-hour long jam sessions and play all these different instruments. Like, this song is simplistic brilliance. It was written by these guys who can do anything. And the simplest song they write is it's just it's one of my favorite songs I've ever heard. Like, it's so great. So I like Taking It All Too Hard, too, and I also like Got a Job to Do. Skipper's Second Home by the Sea is one home too many. They just need the one home by the sea, and you're probably good. Illegal Alien, like we were talking about Goofy, like, nope. I remember this song, and it's just as goofy as I remember it. Like, it's just kind of dumb. I guess maybe it's a sign of the times, but it's just a weird song, and I was like, I remember this one being goofy. And then I'm listening to it, I'm like, I still don't really care for it. So that's a skipper for me. It was a popular song for them, but skipper for me. I have this as a B+. This is my number 3 album. Again, I like a lot of this one, but it definitely is not on the same level as Abacab is for a few reasons. But I just like you mentioned, the whole tone of that album, the entire thing, where this one... there's some different weird, goofy stuff here that isn't great, but I do still like a lot of it. So B+ number 3. What'd you think of the self-titled Genesis?
So for me, to me, it's like a tale of two halves for me. I actually really like both. Yeah. I like both of the Home by the Seas personally.
Okay.
I like Mama a lot. Obviously, it's incredible. That's All is a great hit for them. I know that one very, very well. In Home by the Sea, Second Home by the Sea, I think that's a really, really good kind of 2-part song. The only really one I really like off of side 2 is Silver Rainbow. To me, that one is a killer song as well. But Illegal Alien, that's a total skipper for me. And then, the rest of the album for me is just kind of so-so. Taking It All Too Hard is okay. Just
sounds
a job
like a Phil
to do.
Solo song, doesn't it?
It
Taking
does.
It All Too Hard. Yeah.
Yep. It's gonna get better. I mean, it's okay. But again, that first half to me is killer. The one extra Silver Rainbow I like. The rest of it for me is kind of a pass. So I have it exactly where you did. Number 3. It's just when it's great, it's great. When it's not so good, it's just kind of lame. But yeah, man, Mama, just
where
you mentioned early on a couple albums ago where Phil Collins, when he pushes the vocals,
yes,
this is where he does that. Where
God.
I'm just like where he does that screaming thing, but it's like in tune. It's his gem. He doesn't do it enough, but it's like where he's like he's not really saying anything. It's more like he's yelling "oh" or "ah" or whatever, and it's in tune with everything else, and it's just powerful, man. It goosebumps.
Yeah.
When he's like yelling at you, it's goosebump inducing.
Great. Yeah.
But yeah, this is a fantastic kind of half of an album for me.
Okay.
but yeah, number 3, and a solid B, almost a B plus for me. I wish that second half I liked better, more entirely. So good stuff.
More fully and entirely. All right, so on to Invisible Touch. Then these next two are kind of released on weird days, I thought. So they released Invisible Touch on 6/6/1986.
Yeah.
8 songs on this one, produced by Genesis and Hugh Pegum. I hope I got that right. Again, lots of inactivity with all 3 members recording solo material. They were kind of blowing up on top of the world almost at this point, and it would just get bigger after this album came out even. So, but they were all doing solo stuff. Mike and the Mechanics had a couple hit songs on that album, but all I Need Is a Miracle, I believe.
Yep, that's right.
Is that yep. So that was the really big one, and then there was a secondary kind of hit on that one too, I think. But
Living Years.
Yeah, good. That's a pretty good album. And then Phil did No Jacket Required, which was gigantic, also.
Huge, yeah.
And Tony Banks was doing soundtracks. So yeah, they were all busy doing other stuff. I do want to say I usually don't like electronic drums at all, except for Rick Allen from Def Leppard.
Right.
But I love the pattern on Tonight with the electric toms. It's so good. It's so good. I could just listen to him do that. And it's so spatial. It kind of goes through your headphones. I could just listen to that all night. It sounds so cool. Phil called the writing process as close to kind of jazz as it could be, with material coming from jams and improvisations again. Ultimately, they recorded, as they did on the self-titled album, kind of the same way, because they'd achieved the success in that way, and they felt it was how they wrote the best material. That's how they came up with the best stuff. So, not broke, don't fix it. Phil would set up drum patterns, and then Tony and Mike would improvise ideas over top of that, and then Phil would work on lyrics over top of that. Like I mentioned before, Phil felt like they were even still coming up with fresh and unique material, even after all these albums. How many albums in is this? 15? 13? 13 albums. And he's still feeling like and they did. They still come up with fresh stuff, so he was very encouraged by that. And Tony Banks said that this was the strongest shorter tracks that they had written yet. So they kind of improved upon those shorter ones even more so than they had on previous albums, according to him. My favorites on this one for me are I go back and forth kind of in Invisible Touch. I like Invisible Touch. Now, maybe in a month from now, I may not like it as much, but as of now, it's a favorite song. I like Tonight. I absolutely love Land of Confusion. And I loved the song back then, but when Disturbed covered it, it's one of the best hard rock covers ever, in my opinion. It's absolute perfection. As far as Shout for them, Disturbed, Shout, and this one are the 2 most perfect songs they probably could have chosen. They did such amazing things with those songs, both, that it made me love this song even more, even the original version, because it's really not that much different. Disturbed just made it heavier, which I loved. It's just because I already love the original song, but Disturbed made it more perfecter, I guess. In Too Deep, I like. Again, it's another dark feel song. I so love these songs, and the little quiet guitar in the chorus too is just absolute perfection. It's so good. Again, something about this dark, almost angry, brooding kind of feel to these. It's just, man, I can't get enough of that from this band. I wish there was more and more and more of it. I wish I had whole albums like that. But Throwing It All Away, I like a lot too. Skippers for me are the Domino Suite, which is 2 songs, but it's almost 11 minutes. That's a skipper for me. And the Brazilian, the instrumental at the end, I don't like that one much at all. There was one, I think, was it the album previous to this one? Los Idos or something like that. I actually kind of liked that one. Was that on Genesis? No.
No, it was before that.
Okay. Anyway, I kind of like that
Duke,
one.
maybe?
Maybe. But this one, I mean, I didn't have it as one of my favorites, but I kind of liked it. But this one, the Brazilian, I didn't like this one at all. I just thought back to that one, and I was like, that was one I actually kind of liked, except for this one's just the opposite. So I had this as a B plus, though. I had this number 2. This one was kind of, and I'm going to give it kind of a bump over the self-titled, because one of the reasons being is because this was hard for me to ignore, even in the absolute sea of other stuff I was listening to at the time in 1986. Dude, so much stuff came out in 1986, 1985 to 1988, really, those 4 years that I listened to. And again, I was 13 to 16 years old. Like, I could not buy CDs. I couldn't afford to buy them fast enough, right? So for this one to stand out and be that good and me still like it now compared to all the other stuff that I was listening to then, like, that almost has to elevate it a little bit, right? This band wrote songs that are nothing like any of that stuff I was listening to at the time. The thrash and the hair metal and like all the different stuff that was going on. And I still like this album. So that one I was like, if it was going to break a tie, that was what broke the tie. So I have this at number 2, even though I have it exactly as a B+, just like the self-titled album. But B+, number 2 for Invisible Touch. What did you think?
I tried to not like this one. It's 80s.
It's hard. I know.
It's 80s cheese all over this.
It definitely is. It's the most kind of the times thing they ever did. Like you have to consciously try to write songs in that style. You know what I mean? And they did. But they'd say great at it.
Well, these are just legendary pop songs, and that's just kind of what it all comes down to. Yep. Invisible Touch, as much as I was like, man, I don't want to like this song, that bass line in it, it's like it's like it reminds me of like that, like Yes, like the roundabout, like it's all over the place. Like, I give Rutherford a ton of credit. Like that is just contagious, that bass line. And it's a Phil Collins song. I mean, it's no big surprise there. Like, when I was young, and again, when this came out, I was real young, but my dad had these all on CD, right? And I listened to all these. It was not discernible for me between this and like the Phil Collins stuff, because you heard his voice and it was all kind of that time, right? And Collins writes a lot of the lyrics and stuff for it. So, that again, Invisible Touch is great. Tonight is undeniably great. In Too Deep is like you said, it's a dark, it's a love song, but it's dark. It's undeniable. Throwing It All Away, again, is like a little cheesy little guitar line, but again, it's just these songs, you just can't get away from it, as Tyler said. As Tyler put here, not that one.
Yeah.
He said right here, he said that he misspoke. Invisible Touch has all the hits. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like,
yeah, it really
I'm just
does.
listening through it. I'm like, that's a hit. Oh, that song's huge. Oh, that was huge for them.
Yeah.
So undeniably great. I almost felt like I wanted to put this further down the list just because.
Tried.
And I'm thinking to myself,
it's like it's something that floats, and you keep trying to push it down. It just keeps coming back up to the top. You're like, stop it.
Yeah. I actually really like the Brazilian, but I think it is a weird place for it on the album.
I never heard this before. Like, the Brazilians, the origin of the Blue Man Group, I could totally see that. Like, it seems like about the right time, too. Like, I never even put that together, man. Yeah. Props to you, Tyler.
I feel like
that's fantastic. I'm like, no shit. I don't like the song still, but man, that's really good. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I don't mind the song. To me, it's a weird way to end this album with all these pop, like, legendary songs, and they wouldn't have done that at the time. But to me, like, stuff it somewhere in the middle, I feel like it would have went off a little better for me. I don't know. Maybe I would rearrange the album, just put all the hits together and put Domino at the end.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anything she
the
does
album with that.
I don't know. Anyway, fantastic album, just legendary pop songs. It's just undeniable. So I'm with you guys. This is number 2, easy number 2. To me, it's like a B+ for me. I mean, I think the only A album for me is Abacab, but this is pretty good. Just the recognizable. You got to give them credit. I'm sure that everybody that loved all of their prog stuff probably is like, this is the worst piece of garbage I've ever heard in my
This
life.
is their bottom of their Genesis
I would
list.
imagine
This
it is.
the absolute bottom. They sold their souls.
Yeah,
I
it's
totally
the
hear
sellout,
that. Yep.
sellout album. But for me, I don't care. It's great songs. Number 2, B+ for me, Invisible Touch.
Awesome. On to the last album that we are going to review, and that is We Can't Dance. That's all the albums when they were released. The dates were weird. So we had 6/6/86, and then on this one we had 11/11/91. So those of you who had 1 and 9 at home, you're a winner. 12 songs on this one. Genesis and Nick Davis produced this one. This is the last album with Phil Collins before he decided to do solo work full time in 1996, and I don't know, kind of fell off the face of the earth, it seemed like, for me. You know, like, this guy put out so many hit songs, both solo and with Genesis, and then after that, I'm like, whatever happened to Phil Collins? Like, he wasn't really, you know, he's still around today. He wasn't that old in, like, the late 90s, early 2000s. I just feel like he just didn't hear from him anymore, you know?
Well, the only things I know he did that I'd heard of, he did the Disney stuff after this. So the Tarzan
I know he had a couple hits
soundtrack,
there. Yep.
You'll Be in My Heart, I know is a huge song.
Mm-hmm.
Not anything that I really care to listen to.
Right.
But yeah, he did Disney stuff. He did stuff, but it just, obviously he got older and he even got further away from the rock and that stuff. So,
anywho, so this last one. This is the only time I got to see Genesis. I want to mention that. I got to see him on this tour for the only time at Cleveland Municipal Stadium in May 1992. My mom got us tickets through her work. She was working at ADP at the time, in Independence there, which is a huge global corporation now. She started there, like, using, like, punch tickets for data entry, and, like, then computers when they first started, like, manual, by hand, data entry stuff, you know? But, you know, they are, I think my dad is still retired on that money, you know, that they made in, like, the ADP stock plans and stuff back when she worked there. But she got perks like this too. She ended up working her way up in the company. Obviously, she got involved in software and stuff, you know, later on that they developed. So, you know, she kind of worked her way through. But she got a lot of, like, little stuff like this. Like, we got to go to the last Indians game at the Municipal Stadium, the actually last game there. Like, I was at the last night game, which was Friday night, in the last series against the White Sox. And I was there for the last game, which was on Sunday. It was a day game. I got programs for both of them. I got a ball that Bo Jackson hit in batting practice into the stands because we went down and tried to snag home run balls on the last game. So I actually have a baseball that Bo Jackson hit that Jose Mesa actually threw to me. I didn't catch it, you know. But, I mean, I caught it from Jose Mesa, but it hit the wall in front of us. We were in the bleachers, and it hit the wall. And Jose Mesa picked it up, and he, like, flipped it up, like, over his back. He bent over and picked it up and flipped it behind his back in one motion. And it went right to me, like, in the third row. And I'm like, oh, nice. And it was the ball Bo Jackson hit. So I was like, that's pretty cool. Wow. Anyway, so this show was in May of 1992, and my mom got us seats. So they put the stage in the center of the outfield, and it was like there was 80,000 people there. Like, it was packed. It was a ton of people there. They were huge at this point, and she got us seats in the first row, so it was like a big horseshoe. And then the stage was out in kind of center field, in the center of the horseshoe where it would come together. She got us tickets like in the first row of the upper deck, right on the corner there, looking right down at the stage. And there's speakers right there. Like, it sounded great. Like, they were global. Like, they knew how to make all these stadiums sound good. They've been playing stadiums for a few years now, you know, at this point. So it was cool. It was a great experience. They also played a lot of stuff that I didn't like, though. So they didn't do all the hit stuff that I like. You know, there was a bunch of songs that I loved by them that they didn't play. But they did play some that I love. So, but it was, you know, it was kind of disappointing at the time because they were playing stuff like, I think they did like the Domino Suite or something. I think one of those, and I was like, oh. And then they did other older progressive stuff for the older fans, you know, that were still old, you know, young enough to go to these shows. But as a what 20-year-old for me, I was like, oh man, I wanted to hear all the 80s stuff. I grew up here and I didn't hear a lot of them. So, but it was cool. It was I just remember seeing them. What is that elephant sound in No Son of Mine? Like, is that guitar? I assume it is, but it sounds so cool. It sounds really cool. But I'm like, God, it's like, hey, make an elephant sound with your guitar, and then they just fit it in the song.
It could be keyboards. I mean, you got Tony on the keyboards.
Yeah,
but
it could be. And by this point, it was blurring the lines of instruments, right? Like sometimes you couldn't tell, if that was what it was. If it was a heavily affected guitar or if it was a keyboard, it was just all blending together.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of structure with guitar stuff. This isn't really even rock anymore.
No, you're right. Fading Lights kind of isn't a skipper for me. Like, I do like it for the most part, but man, 10 minutes is long. This is where it's too long. I'm like, can we get this down to like 6.5, 7 minutes? Or, because I kind of like the song. Otherwise, I'm just like, after like 7 minutes, there's still 3 more minutes to go. And I'm like, I don't know. It's just, it gets to be so long. Driving the Last Spike is the same thing. I don't like that song as much as I liked Fading Lights, but it's just 10 minutes long. It's too long. Like, I feel like more like Dreaming While You Sleep, which is a 7-minute song, I think. Like, that one I do like, and I like it a lot more, but had that one had another 3 minutes added to it, I probably wouldn't like that one either. I go back and forth on whether or not I like Jesus, He Knows Me. That's another song that I'm kind of like, do I really like this? Do I not? Right now, I like it. I listened to it again today, and I'm like, yep, I'm putting this down as a favorite. I do like this song. But again, 2 months from now, I'll be like, yeah, why did I really say I like that song? I don't really like that song that much. I go back and forth on that one. I wasn't sure kind of what to expect of this album when it came out, for sure, because it had been 5 years. And I felt like I Can't Dance, which was the song they were playing everywhere, is a goofy song. But I do like it. It doesn't cross the line of goofiness for me, but and at the time, Jesus, He Knows Me also was kind of, and that was I think the first 2 singles, and that was also kind of a goofy song to me, and I'm not sure I really liked it. But when listening to the rest of the album, I found I did like most of the rest of this one. Like, No Son of Mine has that same dark, serious kind of feel to it. It's really good, in the verses. It's just awesome. I love that. So I'm always, again, when they do that again, I'm like, yes, there it is again. There's only so many of them. Jesus, He Knows Me, like I said, I like now, and I Can't Dance is goofy, but it's really catchy, and I can't get it out of my head. I do like Dreaming While You Sleep, and I also like Way of the World. So I actually do kind of like a lot of songs on here, just not as much as a lot of the other songs. Like, my really favorite songs are not on this album. But I do like all of those songs for sure. Skippers for me are Hold My Heart and Since I Lost You. I don't like either of those ballads on this one.
Yeah.
So I have this as a B+ again. I have this number 4. There's lots to like on here for me outside of the 2 ballads and the length of those 2 songs. Other than that, I really like most of the rest of the album. Even those 2 longer songs, I just don't like the length of it. Like, I like half to most of it. So I do really kind of like this album more than I remembered liking it. I'll say that, at least this time around. So maybe that's me being older now. I'm not 19 when this came out, so I have a whole different perspective on things. So maybe I like songs more than I did then, but B+, kind of had to slot this at number 4. I have a lot of B+ here. B+ where I'm like, I had a really tough time slotting them, in this level. There's like half of their category is at this same level of rating for me. So, and I just ranked them like 20 minutes before we started. So, yeah, I have this at number 4 right now. What did you think of We Can't Dance?
Pretty good. I actually like this one more than I thought I would.
Okay. Yeah, same.
I was kind of rolling on memories of these, and I was like, I don't think I like these songs. But there's quite a few of them that I've heard before, like many times, that I don't remember really liking. But I agree with you. Like, listening to this from front to back as an album, things worked a little bit more for me. Like, I really like Phil's storytelling and like No Son of Mine, Driving the Last Spike. Like, he builds characters, right? It's like almost like he's telling a story, like, obviously of, No Son of Mine, right? It's talking about a father and yada yada yada, and Driving the Last Spike again. It's just it's a story. So I think Phil is at his best here, right? He's writing these lyrics, telling a story. Good stuff. Jesus, He Knows Me. Like, it's hard for me to like this version because I love Ghost version, right? Ghost just did.
Yeah.
And I love Ghost. So to me, I want to hear the heavier guitars, right, that Ghost uses. It's the same song, but instead of guitars, he does a lot of the synthesizer type of keyboard parts, the down, like that. That to me, that's kind of silly, but I like it. It's a good song. I can't dance. I can't think of that song without thinking of that little dance that they do in the video where they scooch down and they go real slow, and it's like a strut type of thing. So that cracks me up. It's kind of, again, it's the 90s cheese instead of the 80s cheese, but
right.
But I'm with you though. Like, Hold On My Heart, I know that was a big song for them, but that's one of the ones I remember that it's just like, nah, like that's like that's too cheesy and the ballady stuff. So I don't love that, but there's some. I think the first half of the disc is really strong. The second half for me just kind of loses it a little bit. So it's like half pretty good, and it's better than I thought it was going to be. So overall, good stuff. It's kind of a shame that they ended with this, but
yeah. Well. Yeah, I don't know that I've ever listened to the 1997, their final album without Phil. So
I haven't. Yeah,
they guess they didn't really end with this, but with Phil they did. So, but I don't think that was the plan. You know what I mean? Like, Phil was still in the band until '96. So
right.
I don't know. Yeah, it just I mean, but maybe it was time. Because maybe. This is getting kind of goofy too. Like, Invisible Touch was, like you said, it was like, we're kind of getting to the point where you're trying to, make like goofy songs. And I feel like they were a serious rock band. And when they're serious and have like those serious type darkish songs, that's when they're the best, So when you get to this goofy range, it kind of does get weird. So maybe they would have went goofier and we were like, maybe it was a good time to stop. I don't know.
But
I also want to shout out to Easy Lover. While I was going to listen to all of this stuff, like, of course I have to go listen to Phil's solo stuff because there's a lot of that same. In the Air Tonight is a perfect example. That's another example of that dark feel that I like. That's another song I remember hearing in the car, sitting in traffic with my parents in the dark. Like, it's just so kind of spooky, So I like a lot of those songs that he does too. And so I got to Easy Lover, and I'm like, you know what I never looked up is who plays guitar. There's a really cool guitar solo in Easy Lover. Easy Lover is a song with Philip Bailey. Philip Bailey's one of the singers in Earth, Wind & Fire, which is where the Phoenix Horns came from, so you can see the whole kind of tie together of that. And Philip Bailey, was around one day, and he's like, hey, I want to write a song. Can you write a song with me? So then he wrote Easy Lover. And it's probably my favorite Phil or Genesis song. Like, I absolutely love that song, and I always have, and I just love the guitar solo. Well, it was actually Daryl Sturmer who plays that guitar part, the guitar solo on there, and the guitar through the whole song, that was the touring guitar player in this band for a long time. Like, They brought him in, like, Mike played for a little while, but then they brought in a touring guitar player so they could have two guitars or guitar and bass to do all the older stuff when there was Steve Hackett and Mike was playing bass. So that way there was, because Steve, obviously Mike can't play both guitar and bass at the same time, so they had to get a touring guy to do it. So it was him, and I was like, oh, that's cool. So I thought it kind of tied to Genesis, and I want to throw it in there because I absolutely love the song. So.
Yeah, great song.
Funny video too, really funny video. So,
yep.
The dance that Phil does, like Philip Bailey's doing this like thing where he's snapping his finger and moving his leg back and forth, his one leg, and Phil's doing it too, but he's doing it like really fast, and Philip kind of laughs at him, and then Philip starts like dancing like he could dance like really, really well, and Phil couldn't really compete with that, so he does this thing where he puts his hands on the sides and he just violently shakes, and Philip Bailey just starts laughing. Like, it's actually legit hilarious. So, but it's a really funny video. But anyway, I want to throw that in there too. So not that it really matters for Genesis, but it's obviously I Love in the Air Tonight. So it's one of my, not the favorite. It's one of my favorite Phil songs. Not over some of these in the Air Tonight. I don't know if I said that it was, but it's definitely one of those. One of my favorite songs from Phil. And Philip Bailey, I guess. Phil and Phil.
Yeah, I don't know if anything else.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think that was on an EP. There was like 5 songs on it or something like that. And some of it was like soul. He did like a lot of soul singing stuff.
I think it was wasn't it on a soundtrack too or something like that? I don't know. That could be. Maybe I'm thinking of Against All Odds. That was on a soundtrack.
Yes, that another fantastic song and another one of those kind of dark feels songs. Yeah. You know what I mean? Same has that same darkishness to it. You know? Yeah. But it is like a kind of a love song. That's fantastic song though. Excellent song. Another fan. There's just so many that I love by Phil and by Genesis that it's just all the same types of song except for kind of Easy Lover, you know.
It sucks that they're two different entities. I feel like they almost should be. And again, I know it's Phil's solo stuff, and I know that like Rutherford and Banks didn't have really anything to do with any of those other songs, but Phil had a style.
Well, that's why I originally looked at Easy Lover, because I'm like, did Mike play on this? Like, I don't know who played on that song, so I had to go look it up. And I was trying to look for some of that. I was like, was Mike, as I was listening to Phil's stuff, I was like, was Mike involved?
Right.
Was Tony involved with what Phil was doing also? And I couldn't find any connection. Like, they were definitely off doing their own things.
Yeah.
So I looked for it, though. That's funny you say that, because I actually did look for it.
Yeah.
I wish they had. You know, I really wish that somehow, you know, that all of those were Genesis songs. Like, how big would Genesis be for me as a band if all of those Phil songs were Genesis songs?
Right.
I'm like, that's, they could be one of those, you know, they would be up there as some of the best-selling artists of all time, probably. I mean, they're already way up there, but they would be maybe near the top if they had all those Phil songs on top of what they had, and they still sounded the same, which a lot of times they do. They sound like Genesis songs.
Yep.
So they just don't have the Genesis name on them. Anyway, overall for me, number 8, Wind and Wuthering. Number 7, Trick of the Tail. Number 6, and then there were 3. Number 5, Duke. Number 4, We Can't Dance. Number 3, self-titled Genesis. Number 2, Invisible Touch. And number 1, Abacab.
All right. Very similar for me. Our top is almost the same. Number 8, and then there were 3. Number 7, Wind in Wuthering. Number 6, Trick of the Tail. Number 5, I Can't Dance. Number 4, Duke. Number 3, Genesis. Self-titled, Shapes, whatever you call it. Number 2, Invisible Touch. And number 1, Abacab. So we got the same top 3. There you go.
There it is. All right, so you are on vacation next week, right?
I am. I am flying out Sunday, going to the Caribbean.
To where? Oh, nice.
St. Lucia is where my wife chose to go.
You lucky bastard.
Yeah, I'm going to be keeping an eye on the storms, though. Again, and we knew what we signed up for, but it is.
You never know this time of year. Yep.
Well, it's the first official week of where hurricane season starts, the first week of September, and of course, looking at the map today, there's this storm spinning up right off Africa right now, which will land. But again, the thing is in the Caribbean, this is like a southern island. It's closer to South America than it is to us. So a lot of times those storms, either if they say south, they're not super strong, but if they go north towards us, that's when they get really bad. Yeah. So I don't understand
they need that
the
warm
geography.
Water and then,
that's exactly right. I try to learn just what I can to understand what's going on right now, but that's basically it. And there's a lot of dry air just hanging out in the middle of something with an El Nino or, something like that right now,
of course,
where there's a lot of dry air that's kind of shutting everything down. And that's why they're not at a high number, where they do the letters for every hurricane or whatever.
Yeah. They were predicting it was not going to be a very active hurricane season because of the El Nino.
Yep. And they're only at sea. And figure this out. Rest in peace, Dolly Parton. We lost her today.
Are you serious?
Yeah, she passed this afternoon. So we lost Dolly.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And the next hurricane they already predetermined what the names are. The next hurricane that forms is Dolly. Hurricane Dolly. So,
oh my goodness,
I know it's wild. But rest in peace, Dolly.
That is crazy. Rest in peace, Dolly. Oh man, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's tough.
Her and Kenny are up there, islands in the stream now. I guess.
Yes, they are. Rogers. Absolutely. So
that is what they are.
So basically, what H was saying, no podcast next week. We're obviously have to take a week off. I'm not going to be able to do it from my tropical resort in St. Lucia, but we will return the following week. Hopefully,
well, you could.
Dude, probably not. Have you ever tried to use the internet in any of those places?
Hey, that's not why you're there, dude. I hope you're not using the internet. If you're scrolling through X, sitting on the beach in St. Lucia, like, I don't know, there might be something a little wrong with you. Hey, man, can you give me some shade? I can't see my screen. I mean, come on. This is terrible. Too sunny out here.
And my wife might stay in St. Lucia and just say, hey, why don't you and your scrolling ass go back home?
You and your phone can get the hell out of here.
Right.
Oh, man. Why don't you go back to the lodge, back to the hut, or whatever you're staying in.
Yep, exactly.
Why don't you go watch some TV or something?
Right.
That's funny. Oh, man. That's good. I needed a laugh, so that was fun.
There you go.
We brought that up. All right, so I don't even remember who we're doing next. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We got H next, so we'll have a new podcast
for you.
We're
doing Herd and H next.
Yeah,
if we had an album, we would do it.
We would rank it number 1 probably if we had an album.
Yeah, everything would be A+. It'd be 1, of course.
Absolutely, it would. Yeah. So, all right, H. Thank you for another great podcast, and we will see everybody in the next one.
Rock on. Rock on.
Looks like you've been missing a lot of work lately.
I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob.
What would you say you do here?
God damn it. Bob, we love playing here tonight. My brother's ready.
It helps if you think of it as a game, Bob. Every game has a winner and a loser.
You must possess strength to inflict pain, Bob.